Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and KWBY, and again on Saturday morning at 9 on KATX and KWBY as Angela Robinson joins Terry Slavens to share important financial information to help you live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, estate and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Well, very pleasant good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome into Life Planning 101 right here on KTX KDY. Terry Slavens with you, joined as always by Angela Robinson. Good morning, Angela.
It is a great Monday morning here in Texas, and it's beautiful fall weather. We finally got rid of that cold, nasty stuff, so we're back to some normal fall weather.
81 today,
yes.
63 tomorrow. If you don't like the weather, stick around. We'll have summer one day and fall the next.
This is right. And we're closing in on the end of the year. It is happening fast. I mean, this year has just flown by. It feels like yesterday my family left Nigeria. So here we are, end of the year, and we've got a great show lined up because I know everybody is feeling that end of the year craziness. And for what is it that gets inside of us? I just want to know out of curiosity, because even me, I'm this way. Oh man, I planned on doing that this year. Oh, I was going to do that too. Oh. And you got all this like list, and all of a sudden you have this short period of time and you got to get it done.
Less than 2 months.
Right? And so you're literally not only in the swing of things because, fall is in full session. You got Thanksgiving right around the corner, Christmas after that, but you're also trying to close in and cram everything that you intended to do all year long into these last 2 months, right? Isn't that what we do? It's inevitable. So the thing I think about all the time is I love that saying, done beats perfect every time. And I think that's a lot of why we do this. But wouldn't it be great, especially when it comes to your planning piece of that? Because I do think that's something that weighs on a lot of people, whether it's their budget or their debt or their savings or getting their legals done or paying attention to their taxes or, there's just so many things. A lot of people say, there's just so much. I don't know if I can handle that. And, I think, wouldn't it be great if you had someone to help you prioritize, organize, maybe even tell you, you know what, you can hold off till January to work on that.
Take that burden off your shoulders.
Yeah, take that stress level down a little bit and focus on the things that matter most during the holiday season. And, I think the good news is you have somebody, and that's called Kennedy Financial Services, right? Now, that was a complete setup. Now, and I will tell you, we're already booking well into December, so if you're going to rely on us first and foremost right now starting out, it's probably not going to happen for this year.
Right.
However, because of that, we want to be able to offer some people some generic nuggets of what do you need to be focusing on, or what we see as like really the priorities. Now, obviously these are generic, so it's not applicable to everyone, or some of it there might be something more pressing in your life, and I'm assuming if there is, you're going to know what that is, right? But I thought I would compile kind of what we're seeing as the top 5 planning priorities that we're doing with the families we work with before the end of the year, and share these with everybody because these are important. And, we live in a day and age, it's so crazy. I think about millennials, and we're hearing statistics that millennials prefer an advisor, a face-to-face advisor or over-the-phone advisor to any kind of Googling or electronic. Now, you ask yourself why that is. Millennials are also the people that spend the most time on the internet.
Right.
So could it be a little bit of wisdom because they never can find 2 answers that are the same?
Absolutely.
So, there is some truth to what they're actually figuring out for themselves. And, what I think about with everybody is that if that's the case and you just start Googling and trying to figure out what you should be working on in today's world, when legislation is changing faster than I don't even, I'm really bad with analogies anyway. I shouldn't even go down that road. So it's just changing fast. Right. It's changing fast, right? Yeah. Lightning speed. There we go. Like Usain Bolt. There we go. That one worked. Yeah. So, it's changing fast. And we've got, every industry in itself is the consumer, the supply, the demand, everything that's out there. Our world is a different place than it was 10 years ago. And if you don't believe that, you need to get out of your house more often because it's simply the truth. I mean, even here in Texas, I live on the busiest highway in the state of Texas. I am just certain of it. Highway 6. Who would have thunk? I mean, when we moved there, we thought, oh, this is great. It'll
Out
be
in the
a
country.
low-key highway. No. You don't even hardly want to pull out on our driveway. You might get run over. There's no telling. So, we live in a different world, and being able to decipher through all the chaos to figure out what's the priority, what's the most important. That's what it's all about. So I'm going to give you 5 generic nuggets of advice on today's show that you are not going to want to miss on what your year-end to-do list should look like.
Life Planning 101, segment 2. Angela?
Yes, your year-end to-do list. We're talking about some nuggets for you for the end of the year, and I promised you 5. So number 5 on your planning to-do list is don't spend money. Okay, yep, that was
For
not
Christmas?
that way. Liz, you should have seen Terry's face. I wish we were on TV here this morning, but that isn't a joke, but it is a pun, okay? And here's what I mean by that is most business owners have learned the trick to taxes. What is it? Tell me.
Buy something at the end of the year to write it off for the next year.
Yes, because it lowers your taxes. Well, that might not be the wisest advice during tax reform.
Really?
Yes. So I want you to think about a business owner that we analyzed just this last week, and he was paying about $42,000 of taxes for every $100,000 that he was earning. Okay, so
42%.
42%, massive amount, right? And his rule of thumb was the same as I would bet 99% of business owners that have a significant profit. Go buy something. Go write something off. Well, thanks to tax reform and a little bit of planning, I'm not going to say we didn't do anything, right? His liability is less than half of what it was. So he was able to keep over $80,000 in his pocket and with that money meet his goal to help his children's education without spending a dime. So repeat that again. He was able to keep over half of that tax liability in his pocket and be able to put $80,000 towards his children's education without spending a dime.
Wow.
Now, if he went out and bought a $100,000 piece of equipment to get rid of that tax liability, what did that do for his children's education?
Just made it wonderful. Wonderful.
Made it wonderfully disappear. If you're gonna, if you're gonna spend the money, there's no money to send to college on, right?
Right.
So, here's the thing is that we're so accustomed to lowering our taxes. In fact, I think it's almost a sickness, a syndrome. And I got it too a little bit. I'll be honest with you. I don't like giving the government any more than I have to. Nobody does. And, they don't spend it very wisely, obviously. So there's another whole problem with the situation. But, the thing is that you can't get ridiculous with it. I actually heard a CPA this last year telling a client, well, you're better off going and just spending money because you'll get more of a tax write-off. And we said, well, you don't need that expense. And they said, well, that's true, but I get the tax write-off. Well, you're losing money by spending the money. That it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So, if there's a better way for you to be able to put back money for your future or for your children's future or do things just a little bit differently, maybe save you the entire tax bill, maybe save you part of the tax bill, and then still keep money in your pocket, that's a powerful thing. And especially during tax reform, we've got cut rates like crazy. I mean, we're seeing business owners that really are paying half of what they were before tax reform with just a little bit of planning and the tax code combined. So take advantage of it. Doesn't mean you have to spend money. So that's number 5. Don't spend money. Yes, during the holiday season. But you can spend on gifts. See, it gives you more for gifts. There you go.
Right.
All right. So number 4, master your health care needs. I've got a big meeting this week to talk to a company that we've been working on. And we don't do a lot of, or in fact, we don't hardly ever, sell a healthcare policy. We don't want to be in that business whatsoever. But we certainly help people look at stuff because it intertwines with their entire life plan, and we want to make sure that it works well. So this in particular business, we were helping with their broker, to look at different options. And this is a pain point for a lot of pocketbooks. I'm sure if you're paying for your health care, you can understand exactly what I'm talking about, especially if you're somewhere between the age of 50 and 65. Okay, so it's really, really painful at that point. And, the good news is that most people have options, and those options are expanding. There's new laws coming to effect in January 1 that's giving business owners more power to keep more money in their pocket and have more flexibility, even if you have over 50 employees, which has been this whole deal behind Obamacare. As was the case with this in particular business, we're going to be able to slash their premium dollars about half. So for them, their premium is over $250,000 a year. Okay, so we're going to be able to slash that into about half.
About $125,000.
Yes, be able to provide their great employees the same amount of benefit that they had been receiving, and be able to do something different for their other employees that makes more sense, more economical sense. And you know what? It's actually going to be cheaper for the employees on an individual basis.
Win-win situation.
It's a win-win situation. So this isn't getting talked about because people don't make money selling that, right? Does it happen? If they can't sell anything, they don't make money.
When they make commissions based on premium, so
that's exactly right. So the big thing is you need to master your healthcare needs. You really need to know what your options are. You've also heard us talk about Medi-Share before on this show. Okay, so it's a Christian sharing program. It's more kind of a coverage of major medical type needs, not traditional health insurance, but you could probably see your premiums significantly reduced. And why do you have health insurance to begin with? Is it for going to the doctor every single day? No. I don't believe it is. So, those types of things are options, and you need to know what you can do, because think of it this way. If you're paying $1,000 a month of health care, and you're in your 50s, which is very likely, okay, so that's $12,000 a year. Imagine you could cut that in half.
$6,000.
Okay, so what are you going to do with that $6,000?
Save it,
right? Or as Terry said maybe earlier, spend it on Christmas presents, right? So whatever we want to do with it. But the fact is that you can do that. And, right now is the time to be looking at stuff. Medicare and Obamacare are in full swing, open enrollment right now, and they both end in early December. Medicare is another big deal because there's been a lot of changes with Advantage plans. There's been a lot of changes with supplements this year. You need to get educated. Don't fall for the trap that you're going to save money and that's all you need to know. No, it is the furthest thing that you need to know. We've been doing extensive research for where our clients generally are living in the Fort Worth area and in the Abilene area. And the reason we have done this is because we want to know what our clients need and what they need to know before they go to that market and figure it out. So make sure you are educating yourself and become an expert in this area. Don't just fall for the price trap, because it could end up costing you more money.
Absolutely.
In the long term. So that's big. And then number 3, we'll go to one more and then we'll go to break here, of the year-end to-do list. Give more or differently to charity. Okay? You heard me say it right. Give more
or
differently to charity. I want to throw some statistics at you. So I was just curious. I looked up, by the way, you can go on irs.gov and you can look up filing statistics. And you can look up how many people took this deduction and how many people took this deduction and how much money was taken in these deduction areas every year. So we all know the standard deduction doubled during tax reform. So people that were itemizing their charitable deductions, what did that look like? Well, for 2018, and this is just through the July filing season, so all those extenders that just happened, the statistics aren't out yet, okay? So through 2018, charitable deductions are down $111 billion.
Wow.
$1 billion, okay? So what does that mean? Well, does it mean that the charities aren't getting their money? I would hate to say, but it's probably an unfortunate benefactor of this. This is true. Something to keep in mind with your gifting. But more importantly, in your respect, you're probably losing that deduction. And most of the people that we've been reviewing their tax returns don't even know that they've lost their charitable deduction.
They still been making the donation,
Yeah,
but now they can't write it off.
They can't write it off. It's null and void because they have to meet a threshold of $24,000 or $26,600, depending on where, how old they are, if they're married or single or whatever it is. So, that doubling the standard deduction really kind of hurts some people. And to some people, it's a wash and it did matter, but you're not getting those deductions. So my question is, what if you could have your cake and eat it too? What if you could get the deduction and get something else?
That would be wonderful.
Wouldn't that be great? Okay, so we've been looking at a couple different things, and we've either been doubling up charitable deductions this year. So say you typically give, let's just give an example, $15,000 a year of charitable deductions. Well, what if you were to go ahead and pre-gift your 2019 charitable deductions? Now we've gone over that standard deduction limit and we're able to take some of that benefit, right? So that's a big one. And there's ways to do that without having to actually hand the cash to the charity this year and still get that deduction. So that's important to note. Secondly is if you are of that ripe old age of 70 and a half, beautifully ripe. I love ripe fruits. So beautifully ripe age of 70 and a half, and you're having to take that required minimum distribution. If you send your charitable deduction straight from your IRA to the charity, it doesn't show up on your tax return as taxable income.
Oh,
So you get that and your standard deduction. Awesome, right? So you could have both in one, but people don't know this. And instead, we're getting $111 billion lost in charitable deductions. Don't let that be you. So more on your year-end to-do list right here when we come back on Life Planning 101. You don't want to miss.
Final segment. Let's get to it. Life Planning 101.
Yes, your year-end to-do list. Wow, where has 2019 gone? I'm not sure what has happened here, but we're talking about this hectic time of year and cramming everything in and as you intended to do all year. And what should you really be focusing on? And we talked about not spending money in the sense of just for the sake of tax savings, right? Mastering your healthcare needs, understanding what your options are, and making sure you're not spending any more money than necessary in that area. Giving more or differently to charity. To make sure that you're not one of those people that have lost their charitable deductions, and chances are at $111 billion so far, you might be one of those. So if you need to go back and listen to our show, make sure you do that, or you can go online. We've got this all in an article too. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter, www.kennedy-financial.com. So let's get to number 2 on the list, plan now or pay later. So if you remember, back in September, we did a show on will tax reform end early?
Right.
And we talked about doing nothing is actually doing something, and that's taking the risk of paying more taxes in the future. We are given truly a golden time in history. This might be for some people the last tax reform, the only tax reform they ever get to experience in their adulthood. And if you don't take advantage of these years, you're just letting them go by the wayside, and that could be massive power. I mean, you think about the time value of money. It could be a tremendous impact on your planning, tremendous impact on your future, your retirement. So there's a laundry list in that article or that radio show, that podcast, whatever source you listen to it or haven't listened to it yet. And I encourage you to go Google it. Will tax reform end early? And you can go on our website, kennedy-financial.com. Go on our learning center, go on our podcast, go on ktxradio.com, kwbyradio.com, go somewhere.
Plenty of places
to get it. So this laundry list is going to give you a lot of thought to consider. So, I think this is really important to note. We have made this a focus. And the reason we've made it the focus is because we always talk in our business, if we can find money for a family to be able to help them do the things they need to do at their future without making changes to their current situation, isn't that the best way to do it? Yes. So we have made it our goal to figure out how to find that money. Well, tax reform has given us that. In fact, we have literally saved people over millions and millions of dollars this year in taxes alone between income taxes and estate taxes. And it's so important that you work on this with you and your family. And I encourage you to remember that the clock is ticking. If you wait till 2020, you've lost an entire year of planning. Because if all of this sunsets and it's gone, as it is starting to do already, and we talked about that in the show, you're losing out.
Right.
You don't want to do that, right? So number 2, plan now or pay later. And number 1 on the list of your year-end to-do list, enrich your legacy. So do you remember Frank Mullins?
Yes.
He came on our show of Legacy Wealth Counselors, did a great job. And, he does a lot of counseling for families and helping wealth pass from one generation to the next. And he explains a legacy as a family balance sheet. And that balance sheet is made up of various capital, whether it be human capital, intellectual capital, financial capital, social capital, and spiritual capital. And he's got a podcast. I'll go back to all those things we talked about earlier. You can go on and re-listen to his show. And everyone seems to focus on one of those assets.
Right.
What is it? Financial.
Yes.
Everyone focuses on that. But if I were to ask you, of all those things, if you could pass on everything but one of those things to your family, which one would you want to leave off the list? And I bet you financial is on everybody's list to do that, right? Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
So we put the most emphasis on that, yet it means nothing. Nothing. So it's crazy. So, I encourage you to work on your wealth preservation at the end of the year. What better time to do this? You give, don't just give in secrecy. Give with your family. Teach them why you give, who you give to, what the purpose is behind that, why your heart feels the way that it does. If you can't do it with your kids, do it with your grandkids. Start on that wealth preservation. Get them excited to do something. Maybe get their interest, what they maybe want to do, and maybe go on a whim. Help them do it. Work on that wealth preservation. What can you do to start family traditions or keep family traditions intact? What can you do to be talking and telling stories of the way things once were when you grew up and why you believe the way you do today? What better way than stories to be able to do that? And what better time of year to be able to do that,
In the
right?
holidays.
That's exactly right. So we've got a beautiful time, this beautiful 2 months to do, so much with our families to enrich our legacy and do what we call as wealth preservation. We were building out a life planning pyramid analysis for a couple that we're just starting to work with. And, at the very top of that pyramid, it's the very last thing that we work on, but it's on there because wealth preservation. We talk about Frank Mullins. We talk about these things because if we don't, all this that they've built only goes until they die.
Right.
And they can't take it with them. So what's the point in that, right? So make this holiday season your time to be able to work on that. And if you don't do anything else on this list, do that one. You'll go so far with that, and you'll have such pride with that. It's one of those unacceptable regrets at the end of life. I want to end with this. Pablo Picasso said, "Action is the foundational key to all success." So, I think that could also be said that failure is just a result of inaction.
Right.
Yeah? So I want you to imagine that we're sitting here a year from today, November 2020. What's going to be on your list to get done before the end of the year? Is it going to be those same things?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not, right? Are you going to be overwhelmed and stressed all over again?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Or is your list going to seem a little less daunting?
Hopefully so.
Hopefully so. Will you have clarity, right? What progress are you going to be able to have made that has given you that confidence? The choice is yours, and it boils down to one word: taking action. God bless all of our listeners. We wish everyone a very, very happy holiday season as we enter it.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and KWBY, and again on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock on KATX and KWBY for more Life Planning 101.
Advisory services offered through Smart Money Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Kennedy Financial Services Incorporated is an independent of Calton & Associates Incorporated and Smart Money Group, LLC.